welcome to No Broken Legs. It is NFL Week 3, and after a wild Week 2, I need somebody to help me figure out what is real and what is fake. Joining us to help us separate the fool's gold from the real winners is Jimmy Champ. Jimmy, thank you for joining me on this Wednesday night.
Hey, no place I'd rather be. It's kind of fun right now to try to figure out what things we thought we knew and what things we thought we knew aren't true, and get ready for this Browns primetime game on Thursday.
Yeah, and we'll start with the Browns hosting the Steelers. They were 5-point favorites. They are now 4.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 38.5. The money line is minus 200 for the Browns, plus 170 for the Steelers. A lot of action on the Steelers after the Browns just absolutely choked away that game on Sunday night. But the Steelers haven't really made themselves look all that great this year. Their offense looks broken with Mitch Trubisky. Jimmy, who do you think comes out ahead in this game?
Every spot I saw, I can get Pittsburgh at +4. So I'm going to take the Steelers at +4 because I think it'll be a field goal game. So if I can get that extra point, I'm going to take it. I would love to see the Browns be able to dominate the line of scrimmage in this game, but I don't know if they can.
Yeah, this seems like, to me, I'm going to take the Browns. I'm going to lay the 5 because Pittsburgh played a full 5-quarter game in week 1. And then they played a tough game against New England last week. They're beat up. They've got guys out. I think they should. This is a game the Browns should be able to just run the ball and win. That's kind of how I see it. But we saw that they weren't able to do that last week, even though they were able to run the ball. There's a lot going on with the Browns. They had a players-only meeting, probably because Garrett called out the fans and Denzel Ward threw Grant Delpit under the bus. Chubb has accepted responsibility for not kneeling in bounds. I don't know why Kareem Hunt went out of bounds twice. Everybody seems to just be giving Jacoby Brissett a pass for one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen. I just think that this team should band together. But I don't know, man. I'm not betting this game. This is a total stay away for me because there's so many unknowns. But we pick every game, so I'll take the Browns. They're home on the short week. How ugly does this game get if the Browns fall behind early?
Oh, it's going to get real ugly because Jacoby Brissett can't lead a comeback. He showed you that. There was no need to panic in the situation they were in, and he threw an indefensible interception. Like, I don't understand the giving him a pass. I don't understand how you can give Cade York the keys to the city for making that long-ass field goal and then not put any blame on him for missing an extra point. Like, they all share responsibility. The fact that Amari Cooper can't recover an onside kick is disgusting. But I feel like there are a lot of things we don't know. I feel like I know Mike Tomlin's not going to let Nick Chubb ruin this game for him. I feel like if he's got to put 10 guys in the box and make Jacoby Brissett beat him throwing the football, that's what Mike Tomlin's going to do. And I don't know if Jacoby Brissett and Kevin Stefanski are good enough together to make that happen. I feel pretty confident about the Steelers at +4, and I wouldn't be mad at anybody who took the money line because having a players-only meeting in week 2, man, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's not a good look.
Miles was out of line. If you haven't heard Jim Donovan's take on it, go listen to it because he pretty much put it in perfect perspective from the non-player side of it, which I thought he said it really well. But it's a problem. Like, you'd have to be super advanced analytics when you called that play to tell Nick Chubb. But if you get the first down, stay in bounds, and don't score the touchdown, because then the game would be over. The game should have been over up 14 under 2 minutes with the other team having no timeouts. It should have been over. You should have been able to score the touchdown, and the game should have been over. So I kind of like it's that super advanced analytics that nobody's really going to follow. But it's coaching. It's coaching all the way around.
But, I mean, Nick Chubb did this in a game last year. We've seen him do this. He's made this play before.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Kareem Hunt. Like, we've seen him fight to stay in bounds. He was fighting for an extra yard or two, and all he had to do was fall down.
Yep.
These are the attention to detail things that I continue to I'm going to keep harping on him until Kevin Stefanski shows he knows what he's doing. Because now he looks like a guy that doesn't have control of his team. Yeah. And this team looks like a bunch of guys just like in 2019. They think they're better than they are, and they get lazy and they lose focus. And that's exactly what happened.
Yep. Yep.
Right,
there's no excuse.
We'll see how bad things get on Thursday night. If Cleveland loses that game to Pittsburgh, it's going to get like the fan base is going to lose their mind.
Yeah.
The Browns also can't lose this game and have any hopes of keeping their playoff hopes alive. I just don't see with their schedule coming up. Like, I know some people said they could go 2-2 in the first 4 and still be okay, and maybe they can be because New England doesn't look that good. But I don't know. Like, they really had to go 3-1 here.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's looking like maybe the Raiders and the Broncos aren't going to be quite as good as we thought. So that might change it a little bit. But I agree. They need to win this game. They need to beat the Falcons if they truly believe they're a playoff caliber team.
All right, let's move on to the rest of the slate starting in Sunday afternoon, where the Carolina Panthers, who are 0-2, are hosting the New Orleans Saints, who are 1-1. The Saints are 3-point favorites. The over-under sits at 40.5. The money line is -150 New Orleans, +135 Carolina. Jimmy, I think this is another stay away because I don't think either of these teams are any good, and at times they both look like they're completely incompetent.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how both teams bounce back from the way their games ended last week. I agree with you. It's a stay away. I'm going to take Carolina. I think it's a push because I think it's a field goal game either way. Jameis, wow, did Jameis look bad? Chris Olave finally broke through and then fumbled a nice play deep downfield.
Yeah, it was a bummer.
They just Jameis looked bad, and Jameis can't look like that if they're going to win games. They did do a great job on the Bucs offense. Now, granted, the Bucs offense is pretty beat up, but a beat up Bucs offense is probably the equivalent of what the Panthers offense is right now with Matt Rule running the show. So, but I agree with you. I think it's a stay away. I wouldn't put money on this game. I'm going to take Carolina because I think it's probably ended up being a field goal, but I wouldn't bet money on this one.
Carolina looks mostly bad. Baker hasn't made a whole lot of noise, but I don't know. He's got guys dropping passes. They got guys dropping passes. They complete a pass, look like they're going to move the ball. They fumbling a kickoff. I guess the defense for Carolina looks okay. We'll get a better gauge of that this week based on how New Orleans plays compared to what they did against Tampa Bay. It just looks like Baker's stuck with another coach who doesn't really know how to build an offense around him and is instead trying to fit Baker into his system. And I don't think Matt Rule's system's any good, and the numbers back me up on that because his team struggled to score 20 points. This goes back for his entire tenure. Doesn't seem to matter who the quarterback is. Matt Rule doesn't look like he's long to be an NFL coach.
Yeah, and Baker's thrown some beautiful balls. He's made some poor plays as well, but he's thrown some beautiful balls when he's had opportunities. But like I said, I mean, guys passes bouncing off of their chest, not making the plays. Still, I don't think McCaffrey was still involved enough.
Yeah, I don't get any of it, man. I just don't get it. So you're going to take Carolina. You think it's a push. Do you like the over or the under? I can't remember.
I would say the under.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take New Orleans in the under, but I don't bet either of these. These teams seem so erratic. I just don't know what to make of them. Man, 0-3 for Carolina would really put Rule under the microscope. They don't have their bye till like week 13, I think. So it'll be interesting to see if they make a move, and if they make a move, McAdoo's going to be the head coach? I don't think they have any good options there.
Yeah, I don't know. You might just run out. You might run out the season. There's a lot of good prospects coming up in this draft. So you may just run out the season with Matt Rule, get as high a draft pick as you can, and then replace him in the offseason.
Yeah, just replace him in the offseason. And then, I don't know, maybe they keep Baker or Sam Darnold as a bridge quarterback for whoever they draft, but those guys will probably both be let go. That would be my guess. Yeah, it looks like Baker's going to have to follow that Mariota Trubisky route of being a backup because I'm not sure he's going to get a chance to start next year. It'll be interesting to see what happens because there's some quarterback needy teams out there that are probably going to be ready to move off who they have.
Yeah,
we'll just have to see what those teams are and what they decide to do. One such team that could be in that position is the Houston Texans. They're traveling to Chicago to take on the Bears. The Bears are 2.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 40, minus 145 for the Bears money line, plus 125 for Houston. I think both these teams stink, Jimmy. I'll take Houston. I'm taking the over. I can't explain why. I just have a feeling on this one, but I don't know what to make of this. Either of these teams. I don't think they're either very good. Justin Fields looked like he could be something if he was on a real team, but Chicago's a mess.
Yeah, I don't think right now, I don't think Houston is going to be in the quarterback looking mode. I think Davis Mills is being serviceable for what their team is right now. I'm taking Houston with the points and the money line. I think Houston will win this game outright. I think they've looked better than what Chicago has looked. Now, granted, Chicago had that monsoon game, so, take that for what you will, but I think Houston has...
Big brother game against Green Bay.
Yeah, I think Houston has fought. They've been scrappy. I think they'll win the game outright. I don't think either of these teams are playoff teams, but I do think Houston's better than Chicago. So I will take Houston with the points and the money line here.
When I was talking about Houston, I was mainly thinking about after this season.
Oh,
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think Davis Mills is doing just enough to keep his job in mediocrity while that's where the team is.
Wow, I can't imagine them keeping him if they win like 4 or 5 games again. That would be wild. I mean, we've seen worse, so I don't know. That would just seem to me to be a waste. But another team that might be looking for a new quarterback in the offseason is the Indianapolis Colts, because Matt Ryan is not good, just like we told you, but nobody wanted to listen to us. They are taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, who have a quarterback who's very good, and the Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 50.5. The money line is minus 250 Chiefs, plus 215 for the Colts. All of the money's on Kansas City in this game, Jimmy, because they look really good and Indianapolis looks really bad. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, I know there have been a lot of backdoor covers from bad teams so far this year, and I think that's why this line is where it is and a couple other lines. But I don't think the Colts have any fight in them. They continued to throw incomplete pass after incomplete pass instead of giving the ball to Jonathan Daggum Taylor. I don't understand it. I don't know what they're trying to do. This is a lock for me. Like, the Chiefs are going to win this game by a touchdown with no problems. I don't understand this line, but I'm happy to bet it. The Colts are not going to be able to keep up with this team on either side of the ball.
I agree. I'm taking the Chiefs, but I'm not as confident as you are. This line was 6.5 earlier today. Now it's 5.5. I guess the desperation of the Indianapolis Colts worries me a little bit. It is in Indianapolis, but it's on turf. It's indoors. Kansas City speed's going to be on full display. The only other warning that I would issue is, like, all of the money is on Kansas City. So just be careful out there. Kansas City's going to be in a lot of teases, and you never know when something might wreck your teases.
This is not going to wreck anybody's teaser. The Colts cannot stay within a touchdown of this team.
They certainly shouldn't. And it's amazing how Frank Reich is kind of getting a pass and Matt Ryan's getting a pass. Like, those guys just, I don't know what the Colts are doing. I don't know what their long-term plan is. They're just going to constantly shuffle quarterbacks in and out, it looks like, and be mediocre.
I don't know. This is the team that the Colts, for the last 3 years, to me, they've been the most surprising team, to where people pick them to do well and they don't do well, and we just ignore the fact that everybody picked them to do well. Like, I don't but
everybody keeps picking them. It makes no sense. It's like they just keep getting
I don't
burned
understand
by this team, but they keep loving them. It's weird.
It is.
Our next matchup features the team that's looked the best in the NFL probably so far, and a team that had a ridiculous comeback last week. The Buffalo Bills are traveling to Miami. This was a 5.5-point spread this afternoon. It is now up to 6. The Bills are obviously favored. The over-under sits at 52.5. The money line is minus 245 Bills, plus 200 for the Dolphins. Jimmy, Buffalo looks like a fucking juggernaut right now, but a weird stat. They're not punting very much, but their defense has played so well that they have not hit an over yet this year.
Yeah, I think the over will get hit here. I think they're going to continue to, they've got a lot of pressure on the quarterback without blitzing. I think you're going to have to blitz to it to get the ball out of his hand. And I think those wide receivers will do damage. I'm taking Buffalo. I think Buffalo can win this game by a touchdown. But if Miami covered, I wouldn't be surprised. They look like they've kind of found a little formula for success, although they really got dominated by Baltimore for 3 quarters. So take that for what you will. But I think they're going to have to be a little bit more creative on defense in this game than they have been. And I think Miami will make them pay for that. But I think it'll be a good game. I do think the over will hit, and I think I'm going to take Buffalo. But if Miami covered, I wouldn't be shocked.
I'm not buying Miami. I think they're fool's gold after last week. Tua had a big quarter. Other than that, he's looked mostly meh. And as Nick Wright has been reminding us all, the last quarterback to throw 4 touchdowns in a fourth quarter was the legendary Sage Rosenfels. So that one good quarter doesn't mean Tua's back. It does mean that when given an opportunity to feast on rookie cornerbacks, that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are just beasts. Like, those guys were just fantastic. I don't think that's going to happen against Buffalo. I think Buffalo's going to roll. I like Buffalo on the spread. I like the money line. I think that minus 245 is stealing. Get yourself a free win there. You might have to pony up a little bit of money to get it, but it's a free win. And I also like them to hit the over this week. They look like the best team in football right now. Do you think they look like the best team in football, or do you think it's Kansas City? Because those are the only 2 teams that are really in this discussion, I think.
I don't know. I think we'd all be silly. We're all silly to try to crown the Super Bowl champion now.
Yeah, that's a good point. But through 2 weeks, I think Kansas City and Buffalo look head and shoulders better than everybody else.
True, but I wonder what both of those offenses would look like right now playing Tampa Bay's defense.
That is an interesting question that we will probably we might get an answer to in February, but we're going to have to wait on that one.
Like there are defenses around the league that are bringing pressure and getting pressure on quarterbacks, and we haven't seen that really for either of these teams.
That's a good point.
I think right now, Buffalo definitely looks like the most explosive team. I'd be more concerned with what Patrick Mahomes is doing, playing a little bit slower pace and just picking defenses apart. I think Josh Allen right now, he's making a lot of amazing throws. I think during the course of the year, if he keeps trying to make those throws, some of them are going to turn into interceptions. My personal opinion.
And that seems to be their MO.
So, like I said, I'm not willing to crown the Buffalo Bills yet because this is still a team that hasn't gone to the AFC Championship since Jim Kelly was quarterback.
Yeah.
So I'm not willing to claim them as the best team in the NFL.
They definitely look like the most.
They definitely look like the most explosive offense, but I still think Josh Allen he's putting balls out there that are getting caught, that some of those plays are probably going to turn into interceptions later down the road. But right now, they definitely look like one of the 2 best teams in the league. I'm still sticking with the Chiefs. They were my Super Bowl pick. I haven't seen anything from Buffalo to make me believe that they would be able to do what they're doing against the Chiefs.
The big question I have for Buffalo long term is, how long does Von Miller keep playing at the level he's playing at? Because if he plays like this all year, they're going to be just a tremendous problem for teams to deal with that pass rush. But we'll see if he can hold up with that level throughout the whole season. He generally brings it in big moments, and maybe there's just something with that guy. His 2 previous teams have won Super Bowls. When he's been paired with a good quarterback, he has won Super Bowls. So let's see what Von Miller is. I think he's already enshrined himself as a future Hall of Famer, but I mean, he wins another ring here with Buffalo leading that defense. We'll have to start talking about him as maybe one of the 10 greatest defensive players of all time.
It's possible, but we love to get nerdy and geeky about the X's and O's, and I'm just going to be curious because, like I said, they've been getting their pressures without blitzing. At some point, one of these offensive coaches are going to say, we're going max protective on Miller's side all game long. He's not going to wreck the game. So then what does the defense look like? Do they then have to start blitzing a linebacker? They then have to start bringing a linebacker. Does that leave receivers open that have been covered so far? So I'm curious to see how the league reacts to the way Buffalo's defense is playing through 2 weeks.
I think those are all very fair things to say. A team I was pretty high on week 1 and you're pretty high on for the season is Minnesota. They really kind of got embarrassed by the Philadelphia Eagles on the road after that big win against Green Bay. They're home taking on the Detroit Lions. Both teams are 1-1. The Vikings are 6-point favorites. The over-under sits at 52.5. The money line is minus 250 for Minnesota, plus 215 for Detroit. I want to say Detroit's a bad football team, but they keep making me think that maybe they're not.
I don't know if they're a bad football team, but they are a good offense.
Yeah, they seem to be able to score whenever they want, and just kudos to St. Brown's parents because Amon-Ra is just an awesome first name.
Now, I mean, let's face it, everybody. At some point, the Detroit Lions are going to get in a close game, and Jared Goff's going to lose it for you.
Oh, yeah, he's going to golf all over the place.
Yeah, he's going to golf everywhere. It's going to happen. And this game isn't on Monday night, right?
No, this is a Sunday afternoon game.
All right, well, then give me the Vikings as a lock.
I like the Vikings to win this game. I like Detroit to cover, and I also like the over, so I'm going to bet all three of those and hope I can get the trifecta, but I think at least two of those are going to hit.
Yeah, no, I like the over. I do think Minnesota is going to cover. I think they're going to come right back out and show everybody, hey, we made our mistakes. Sorry we started Kirk Cousins on Monday night again. And I think they're going to come out and they're going to be really aggressive. I think the defense will get back to playing like they did against Green Bay. I don't think the Lions offense is nearly as good as Philly's offense. Jared Goff does not have the abilities that Jalen Hurts has, and I think the Vikings will handle this game pretty easy.
All right, our next matchup is the Baltimore Ravens coming off a just horrific loss to the Miami Dolphins that we talked about earlier. They are traveling to New England to take on the Patriots. Baltimore are 2.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 43.5. The money line is Baltimore minus 150, New England plus 130. Jimmy, I know they just fell apart last week, but I feel like Vegas is still undervaluing Baltimore. Do you agree with me here?
Or they're still overvaluing the Patriots?
I don't know. How could they overvalue a team that could barely beat Pittsburgh last week when Pittsburgh literally has no offense? And if it wasn't for that terrible Trubisky interception that set them up on a short field, like they lose that game.
I agree, but just like the Chiefs line, I don't understand this line. Give me the Ravens all day. They will cover this spread. They do need to get J.K. Dobbins. If he is 80% healthy, they need to get Dobbins on the field because they lost that game in the fourth quarter because they couldn't sustain a run game. They need J.K. Dobbins.
That team can't run the football. That's
they will as soon as Dobbins gets in there. I do believe that. So they need to get Dobbins on the field, get him running, and then I think it'll all equal out. It was just kind of a wild fourth quarter. They just couldn't stop what was happening.
Also,
I still think the Ravens are one of the best teams in the NFL, and the Patriots are one of the worst teams in the NFL. So give me the Ravens all day on this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens. I love it as a lock. I like the under as well. This was another one I was thinking about doing the trifecta bet with Baltimore with the points, the money line, and the under. But I'm just going to put it all on the better odds on the money. I'm just going to put it on the better lot. There. I'm not doing the money line bet. The minus 2.5 is ridiculous. Baltimore's going to win this game by more than 2.5.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't understand what anyone has seen from these two teams to think the Patriots are within a field goal of this team. I don't get it.
A surprising 0-2 team is the Cincinnati Bengals. We both thought they would regress. I didn't think they would lose their first two games. They're now traveling to New York to take on the Jets, which is the cure for what ails everybody, usually except the Browns. The Bengals are 5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 45, minus 225 for the Bengals on the money line, plus 190 for the Jets. Jimmy, I like Cincinnati. I also like the over. I think they get back on track this week. What say you?
They might get back on track, but I'm going to take the Jets at plus 5. I think the Browns are right now a significantly better team with the way their offense is running, and the Jets beat them. So I'm going to take the Jets at plus 5. I think they'll keep it close.
Ooh.
The Bengals, Ev, I hate to toot my own horn, but toot. I told y'all before the season started, it was possible, hey, Joe Burrow, drop back and look for Jamar Chase deep down the field and make crazy shit happen. Wasn't a sustainable game plan. It's not. The offensive line isn't any better. Joe Burrow won't do what I said he would have to do, which was just get the ball out of his hand. He wants to make the big throw all the time, and he's getting his ass kicked for it. Zach Taylor doesn't know how to adjust for it because we still don't know if he's any good. Like
I think we know that he's not very good. I know they made the Super Bowl last year, but I just don't think they're very good.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not brave enough to bet the Jets money line, but I think they'll keep it within a field goal. So I'm going to take the Jets at +5.
Wow, we've disagreed quite a bit. I like it. I just think the Jets couldn't stop Brissett to Cooper, so good luck with Burrow and that wide receiver group. Our next matchup is 2 0-2 teams that are desperate for wins if they want any chance of repeating the success they had last year. Las Vegas is traveling to Tennessee. The Raiders are 2-point favorites. The over-under sits at 45.5, -125 for the Raiders on the money line, +110 for Tennessee. Jimmy, Tennessee looks like they have a broken quarterback because Tannehill is now being compared to Jake Delhomme after their 4 playoff games, and that's objectively a bad thing. Is there any chance that Tennessee can save their season this week?
No. No, absolutely not. The Raiders will win this game probably by a touchdown. Kyler Murray did some super impressive shit in the fourth quarter to beat the Raiders, but the Raiders looked pretty good in that game. I definitely think the Cardinals are better than the Titans, so I will easily take the Raiders here. We've been talking about it for 2 years that we thought Tannehill was very much, as soon as the mobility that he had, as soon as that became limited, he was going to be a liability at quarterback. It looks like that's happened. Now, the organization did handicap him by getting rid of A.J. Brown. Robert Woods doesn't appear to be ready to go, or there's just some issue there because I haven't seen him really pop yet on the Titans team. Derrick Henry looks like not Derrick Henry. And if that's the case, this team is not going to go back to the playoffs, and they might finish third in their division this year. They just don't look good. The Raiders have at least looked good at times.
Yes.
But the Titans have not looked good at all.
I like Vegas in this game. I think they win. I also like the under because I think Tennessee's offense is completely broken. Maybe they prove me wrong and they get things going this week, but everything you just said is true. Your preseason comment about this team missing A.J. Brown has become 100% true. They just don't seem to be able to unlock anything offensively, and I don't know, man. I don't know, man. They're as bad as Pittsburgh when it comes to being able to do anything offensively. It's pretty shocking to see how far they've fallen. And Malik Willis got his first taste of the NFL in that blowout loss to Buffalo, but he doesn't look like he's ready to be a full-time starter anytime soon.
Well, I mean, that was kind of rough at that point, though, dude. You threw him in front of the bullet train, man. Like, that was rough.
It just, you at least want to see something. I didn't really see anything from that performance. I'm not sinking him. I'm just saying if you're looking to try to spark the offense, it doesn't look like he's ready to do that yet.
Yeah, I would agree.
A guy who looks like he's unlocked the best version of himself is Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. They are 6.5-point favorites as they travel to Washington. The over-under is 47.5, -278 for the Eagles on the money line, +240 for Washington. Jimmy, Philadelphia just made a real nice statement win against Minnesota. Their defense looks every bit as legit as the preseason hype, and Hurts is just being used to perfection. I like Philadelphia. I also like the over because it looks like Wentz can put points on the board when it's garbage time. What do you think happens in this game?
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it perfectly. I think that's exactly the way it'll go down. I do think the Eagles they'll still win this game by a touchdown, so I don't have a problem with the line. But I like the over as well because Carson he'll do some work in garbage time, but the Commanders looked really bad last week. Antonio Gibson doesn't look quite right. They've got weapons on offense. They've got pedigree on defense, but they just don't look right. So I think the Eagles are getting ready to run away with the NFC East, man.
Yeah, I saw their coach's presser, and I got to say, I like the cut of his jib. I don't know if he's good or not, but he has that demeanor of a guy that wants to win, wants to play team football, and is just a straight shooter. And I think a lot of players respect that. And I think he seems like the type of guy that's going to just do whatever they have to do to be the best version of themselves. And that's what you want out of your head coach.
Yeah, I think I would like to see them when they get around the goal line. Like, I know Jalen Hurts is a big dude. I would like to see them give the ball to the running backs more down there because your season kind of depends on Jalen Hurts. So I would stop running the quarterback keeper around the goal line and hand that ball off and let Jalen Hurts get you down the field next time too.
Our next game is the team that I've been riding this year, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I took them before the season to win the division at plus 600. That same bet is now plus 340. So if you want to cash it in and make some money on the secondary markets, just make sure the price is right. I'm holding on to that bet for now, though, because I think Jacksonville's actually going to win that division. They've got a tough one this week, though. They're traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. They're coming off a Thursday night loss. Jimmy, the spread here is the Chargers favored by 7. The over-under is 48. Minus 315 on the money line for the Chargers, plus 265 for Jacksonville. How do you think this one shakes out?
I mean, I don't think the Chargers are going to beat anybody by more than a touchdown. And that's not to say, like, I think the Chargers are a really good team, but it's just what the Chargers do. So I like Jacksonville with the points, and I like the over. I think it'll be a shootout.
I like both of those bets as well, and I may throw a little money on that Jacksonville money line. Maybe. I haven't decided yet. I definitely want the 7 because I think this Jacksonville team might be kind of okay good.
Yeah.
And just the way Tennessee has fallen off a cliff and the way Indianapolis has looked so far, that division's just there for the taking. And Doug Peterson seems like he's got those guys going. Trevor Lawrence is playing a lot better. I like what they've got going on. It'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting to see how the Chargers respond to that loss, especially if Justin Herbert's out, but I assume he's going to play.
Hey, Houston will be in first place after they win this weekend at 1-1-1.
The other LA team, the Rams, are traveling to Arizona to take on the Cardinals, who had a really nice win last week. They came from behind and beat the Raiders. The Rams are 3.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 48.5, minus 182 on the money line for the Rams, plus 150 for the Cardinals. Jimmy, what are you making of these two teams? The Rams don't quite look right.
No, but they looked a little better last week. I still think the Cardinals stink. The Raiders had a massive collapse in the fourth quarter, some really bad holding penalties downfield. I think the Rams will win this game at least by a field goal, but I'd probably even tease this one up a little bit because I think the Rams will win this game by a touchdown. Nothing I've seen has changed my opinion that I thought the Rams were at least a touchdown better than the Cardinals when the season started. Nothing I've seen has changed my opinion on that. Like, you couldn't really keep the Raiders from scoring for 3 quarters. So if you can't keep the Raiders from scoring, I don't know what you're going to do with the Rams, who looked like the running game got back on track a little bit. We threw a touchdown to Allen Robinson, started to use the pieces. I think the Rams will be okay. So give me the Rams here all day.
I'm going to stick and take Arizona. I think this is a field goal game. I like Arizona. I like the over. And this may be one of those where I take the money line on Los Angeles, the Cardinals to cover, and the over, expecting 2 of those 3 to hit and hope I hit all 3.
Yeah.
Our next matchup features 2 teams that we both thought would be among the worst in the league, and they've kind of looked like it, although not entirely. The Seattle Seahawks are hosting the Atlanta Falcons. They are 1.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 41.5. The money line is plus 103 for Atlanta, minus 120 for Seattle. I don't think either one of these teams are any good, Jimmy. Geno Smith turned back into a pumpkin, and Marcus Mariota's not good. So how do you expect this one to shake out?
Oh, give me Atlanta with the points and the money line. Atlanta's going to win this game outright. I don't know what the hell. I don't know what the hell Denver's problem was in week 1. I projected Seattle with 0 wins. I don't think they're going to win another game. So give me the Falcons and the money line.
I expect Smith to be better at home, and I expect Mariota to crumble in the noise of that stadium. But let me just be very clear for our listeners. Do not, under any circumstances, bet this game. That's my take on this. I think both these teams stink, and when 2 teams stink, you never know what's going to happen, especially you taking Atlanta on the road's too dangerous for my blood, man. I just don't trust Mariota. Although, do you think he'll get any sympathy claps from his time in Oregon?
Who's that?
Mariota.
Probably. I mean, he was a huge star. They loved him up there. So that wouldn't surprise me. I think there's a lot of reports that they want to let Geno cook more, and Geno needs to throw balls downfield to DK Metcalf. So all of my DFS lineups are going to be the Atlanta defense because they're probably going to get 3 or 4 turnovers in this game. And Atlanta, you can bet this game, everybody. Bet Atlanta with the points and the money line because Atlanta's winning this football game.
I did not know that, and I will rescind my previous comment. You can bet this game. I like Atlanta now. Anything that revolves around Geno Smith cooking, I'm actually changing my pick in my spreadsheet right now. Anything that involves Geno Smith cooking, I'm out. I'm out on Geno Smith cooking.
Cook. The offense will look better if we throw it downfield to DK Metcalf.
I mean, the second part of that equation sounds great, throwing deep balls to DK Metcalf. That sounds like an awesome idea, but I don't trust Geno Smith to do it with any ability. The marquee Sunday afternoon game is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Green Bay Packers. Tampa Bay's offense has looked a little suspect. They're now going to have to deal with Mike Evans being suspended after his fracas. The Buccaneers or Green Bay bounced back with a win over their little brother, the Chicago Bears. Tampa Bay's favored by 1. The over-under sits at 41.5. Money line is plus 105 for Green Bay, minus 120 for Tampa Bay. This is a big game early in the season. This will be a nice test to see where these teams are at. What do you expect to happen in this game, Jimmy?
I'm not sure. I don't know what best version of either of these teams we're going to get. I'm going to take Tampa. I can see so many scenarios, but I'm going to take Tampa winning this in a low-scoring game. I don't think the success Green Bay had against Chicago is repeatable against Tampa's defense. You're not just going to pitch. You're not just going to pitch the ball to the halfback and get 8 yards downfield before he gets hit. And I don't know if Rodgers really has a good rapport with these wide receivers yet to get through all of his checks. So I think Tampa is going to win this one in a low-scoring affair.
I agree with what you just said. I like Tampa Bay to cover. I like the under because this Tampa Bay defense looks really, really fucking good. But their offense is having problems. They still have a lot of guys out, and Tom Brady's dealing with some off-the-field stuff. If you listen to the rumor mill, I don't know if any of that's true. I don't know if this is just the typical Tom Brady gets off to a slow start type deal. Apparently he did practice today, which normally he does not practice on Wednesdays, so at least he has an understanding that something's wrong. But their offense doesn't look right, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens when they get their guys back, how good they can be. I think Tampa can cover this. I think they can put enough points together. Brady's made some nice throws, and we've been throwing dirt on him in September for it seems like a yearly tradition. So I like that defense. I'm going to go with them because I think I really agree with you about Green Bay. It doesn't look like their offense is right either. And it's interesting to see how the defenses league-wide have really flipped the script on where we thought we were going 2-3 years ago when it seemed like offensive output was just going to explode.
Yeah, and I mean Green Bay's offense is still predicated around yards after the catch. A lot of catches at the line of scrimmage turned into stuff, but Tampa Bay is so good at the line of scrimmage. I don't know how well that work. I mean, one of the few miscues Green Bay had against Chicago, Rodgers tried that hot out, and the receiver hadn't even turned around. And I think if you throw that pass against Tampa, I think it's probably a pick six going the other way. So it'll be. I'm curious to see, but this is a must watch game because the NFC really feels like it's up for grabs.
Oh yeah.
So I'm very curious to see which version of these two teams and these two quarterbacks show up.
It is a Sunday night affair where the San Francisco 49ers traveled a mile high to take on the Denver Broncos. The Niners are 1.5 point favorites on the road. The over-under sits at 44.5, minus 121 on the 49ers money line, even money on Denver. Trey Lance got injured. His season looks to be done. That's just a bummer of an injury for him. Jimmy Garoppolo comes in now, which means that while everybody's talking him up now, that means we get to bet against him in the playoffs. So everybody just be ready for that when the time comes.
Yes.
Does Daniel Hackett understand what a head coach is supposed to do, Jimmy? Because right now he looks like he's trying to approach Freddie Kitchens bad.
Yeah, no, he looks unprepared, and Russ also looks unprepared. I feel like in Seattle, if for some reason plays weren't being called into Russ, we would have seen him just go into that low crouch in the huddle and take over and make play calls. But clearly he's not confident in the offense yet to really do that. Nathaniel Hackett looks overwhelmed. This is the third line of the week. I do not understand. Take the 49ers. This is a lock as well. This game, I don't think is going to be particularly close. Their offense makes the mistakes they've been making. San Francisco is going to capitalize on every one. And it's regular season, good weather. Jimmy Garoppolo, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. It'll look like fireworks. I don't understand this line.
Kyle
I think
Shanahan driving the bus.
Yeah, I think San Francisco will just dominate this football game.
I don't know if they dominated, but I love them winning this game. I think they easily cover. I like the under on this one too because Denver doesn't look like they can do anything offensively, and Russell. It's not just that Hackett looks overwhelmed by the responsibility of being a head coach. Russell Wilson has times where he doesn't look like he can throw a football.
Well, I agree. I agree. Russ
really
doesn't look right
because over the last. This would be season 3. So over the last 2 seasons plus, I've really just done a 180 on Russell Wilson. He looks like he may be cooked instead of trying to cook.
Yeah, he doesn't look good. But he's had, multiple injuries the last couple of years. And the team really believed they were a quarterback away, so they did what they did to go out and get him. And I think it may have been a mistake because he hasn't looked good. Now, maybe if he gets in the offense, gets in a good rapport with Judy and Sutton, maybe that changes. But like I said, he doesn't look like he has a good command of the offense. He doesn't look like they know what they're doing. And Nathaniel Hackett looks like he forgets he's supposed to call plays. So,
Jimmy, would you be surprised if I told you that in Green Bay, Nathaniel Hackett did not call plays, and he actually hasn't called plays since 2018?
No, because we know that's LaFleur and Rodgers' offense.
Yeah.
We knew that.
Nathaniel Hackett looks, I mentioned Freddie Kitchens earlier. He doesn't look quite that bad, but he doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. They're not getting play calls in. The fans are counting down the play clock so that they can do what they need to do. And his time management makes Andy Reid look like the timekeeper of all time. It is that series where they tried to kick a field goal and then it was late, and then they ended up punting, and just that whole series, they fucked up 3 times in less than 3 minutes. It was amazing. It was just a masterpiece.
I actually think he looks worse than Freddie Kitchens because while we all knew Freddie was doing a bad job, Freddie thought he was doing a good job, and Freddie at least had an idea. It was a bad idea, but he at least had ideas. He was making stuff happen.
That is true.
Hackett doesn't look like he understands what's going on, which just kind of goes back to what had been reported that the whole reason they hired Hackett was they really believed he could get Aaron Rodgers to come to Denver.
Yep. And then he didn't, and now they're fucked. They're fucked. Dude's fucked. That team's not good. I don't know how they turn it around because if you don't have any structure of leadership and the guy running your offense doesn't know what he's doing, I mean, we talk about it with Stefanski that we think he's too involved in the offense with calling plays to handle all the responsibilities of being a head coach. Stefanski's an actual organized human being. Like, I know he's organized and has his ducks in a row. Hackett looks like he's just throwing darts at a board blindfolded. It's bad.
Yep.
Our next game is the Dallas Cowboys taking on the surprising 2-0 New York Giants, who are 1-point home favorites. The over-under sits at 39, even money on the Cowboys for the money line, minus 115 on the Giants. Jimmy, my brain cannot wrap itself around the Giants starting 3-0. Tell me the Giants can't win this game.
I won't say can't. I don't think they will. I like the Cowboys and the money line because this is going to be the first real attacking defense the Giants have played this year. And I think that'll cause Danny Dimes to make turnovers and will cause mistakes. And we'll see what Cooper Rush can do.
Maybe he's not terrible. Maybe he's just
Yeah, maybe he can do enough. But I think Micah Parsons is a terror for offenses. And I just don't think the Giants haven't really seen a defense like Dallas yet. And I think Dallas is going to get some turnovers, and I think Dallas will win this game. I like the under as well, but I like Dallas and the Dallas money line.
Yeah, I like Dallas across the board, and I like the under. I refuse to believe the Giants can be 3-0, and they're 2-0, but Daniel Jones has not looked good. He looks like a career backup.
No, it's been field goals have been difference makers for them. I mean, they turned the Panthers. I mean, they had the ball twice in Panthers territory last week within 10 minutes, and they couldn't score points. And I think Dallas's defense is significantly better than Carolina's defense. So I have no reason to believe the Giants are going to win this game. They've looked okay-ish, but I still think their spots that are bad, I think, will be highlighted in this game against Dallas.
Yeah, and I think both of these teams are going to wind up just chasing the Eagles all year and not being able to catch them. Because
I agree.
Philadelphia is better than they are.
Yep.
Well, that is the Week 3 slate, Jimmy. Some teams that are really desperate for wins. Which team do you think has to win this week? Like, they have to get a win.
Well, to me, I wouldn't say it's a must win because I didn't think they were going back to the playoffs anyway, but it's got to be the Bengals.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think everybody was crowning Joe Burrow last year, and now if they can't beat the Jets, man, just pack it in because it's over. I know the Titans are worse, but we've seen teams fall apart with bad quarterbacks before, so I think that happens. I'm really excited for the Jacksonville Chargers game. I really want to see what this Jacksonville team can do on the road against a good team. I know Herbert's banged up, but that's what it takes to win games. Sometimes the other team has somebody that's banged up and you take advantage. If Jacksonville can find a way to win this game, that would really put them in control for the division. And what a story that would be for them. But, the news that'll be dominating on Friday is what happens with Cleveland and Pittsburgh. I don't know what the hell is going to happen, man. Cleveland should be able to easily win this game, but if Pittsburgh can keep it close with all of their problems, oh boy, that is going to be an ugly fan base to have to deal with, not just during the game, but all weekend long.
Yeah, I think the main thing for the defense has got to be we can't see another broken 60-yard touchdown pass.
Well, right now they're on 2 a week. Although the Panthers had that touchdown that was only 15 yards, but the running back was completely uncovered out of the backfield for a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like 2 plays a week, somebody's running free that they just don't pick up in coverage. And everything I saw from guys that have been in Joe Woods' defense says that was Denzel Ward missing the cover 3. Yep. They explained it in detail about the linebacker was covering the flat, and the way he just sat down was he thought it was cover 2, and everybody else on the defense acted like it was cover 3. So I just don't know how that's going to play. Can they keep their signals together? Joe Johnson seems like he tries to gamble too much, even though he's never Like none of those gambles ever pay off, so I don't know why he would keep gambling. So, and if this defense struggles to shut down Mitch Trubisky, just period, like we said it last week, like the Jets shouldn't score, and they mostly shut him down. But like Pittsburgh should not be able to put 17 points on the Browns this week. Like they just shouldn't.
I agree. But then on the flip side too, if you can get this win against Pittsburgh, the Browns have an honest chance to go 3-1 in these first 4 games.
That they do, and that would keep them alive for the playoffs. So
yeah, so
I guess we'll just see, won't we?
And I mean, everything that's gone wrong, you can quiet this fan base with a win against the Steelers.
Yeah, even if it's a close win, just a win against the Steelers helps. It always helps.
But I think they've got to get out early and keep the lead, because I don't trust Jacoby Brissett in a close game.
Especially against this defense.
Yeah, but like I said, I believe Mike Tomlin. You're going to see so many guys in the box. He's going to make Brissett beat him. We'll see if he can. Cooper had a really nice game. We'll see if that connection continues. Njoku looked good in the first half, dropped a couple passes in the second half. Yeah, we'll see what that looks like. But I agree with you. Like
his contract.
Yep. But the story is going to be the Browns defense. Like if Mitch Trubisky comes out and throws all over you, then that's a problem. Or even if banged up Najee Harris comes out and runs all over you.
Offensive line for Pittsburgh doesn't look like they can move anybody around. They
Nope.
look like they're just holding on for dear life. So,
yep.
The Browns are exactly where they were when they drafted Baker Mayfield that first season. They have a guy starting games for him that's not going to be their long-term quarterback. And the difference now is they're not allowed to start their long-term quarterback because he's a sexual predator and has been suspended for at least 11 games. Although it is nice that his name doesn't get mentioned very much anymore. I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps everything up. Jimmy, thanks for coming through here. Or thanks for joining me to go through this and try and figure out just what the hell we saw last week we can trust. It's a long season to go. This is week 3. Usually these next couple of weeks give us a really firm idea of who's for real and who's not. So, again, thank you for joining me, sir.
Yeah, no place I'd rather be. Like I said, this is good. There are some teams that we feel like we had a good pulse on that are performing like we thought, and then other teams we're not quite sure about. But there are some marquee games this week to get us there. And it was great. I think we got a lot of good talking tonight, and cannot wait to see you say your vows this weekend, man.
Thank you. And yes, we will not be doing shows the next 2 weeks because I will be on my honeymoon because I'm getting married on Saturday. And it'll be a fun time, and I can't wait to see you there, brother. You're going to be one of our ring bearers. I'm really happy about that. And thank you for doing that. And I want to thank all of you for listening. And please drop us a like or subscribe so you can keep up to date on everything we put out after I get back from the honeymoon. For Jimmy Champ, I'm Evan Belfiore. We are No Broken Legs.